Have you ever wondered why life can sometimes feel like a constant struggle? A relentless storm that refuses to calm down? We all have moments when the world seems to weigh on our shoulders, and no matter how hard we try, we can't seem to escape the pain and confusion. But what if there's a different way to see this suffering? What if, instead of running from it, we could learn to face it, embrace it, and even grow through it? This is where Buddhism offers a unique perspective. It doesn't promise to eliminate suffering, but teaches us how to navigate through it. The Buddha once said, "Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional." This simple yet profound statement invites us to look at our troubles with new eyes. It suggests that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can choose how to respond to it. In this journey through the wisdom of Buddhism, we'll explore practical steps that can help us transform our relationship with life's challenges. We'll learn how to find peace amidst chaos, how to stay calm when the world is anything but, and how to find strength when everything seems to be falling apart. 1. Understanding the nature of suffering. Life, as we know it, is filled with moments of joy and sorrow, pleasure and pain. But why does suffering seem so prevalent? Buddhism teaches us that suffering, or dukkha, is a fundamental part of human existence. It doesn't mean life is all misery, but rather that we will inevitably face challenges. This doesn't sound very uplifting at first, does it? But there's a hidden wisdom here. By accepting that suffering is a natural part of life, we can begin to change our relationship with it. Imagine you're caught in a sudden rainstorm. You can curse the sky, run for cover, or simply accept that you're going to get wet. In accepting it, the rain doesn't stop, but your resistance to it does. You start to notice the coolness of the drops, the scent of wet earth, and maybe even find a strange kind of beauty in the storm. This is what embracing suffering is like. It doesn't mean you enjoy the pain, but you stop fighting it. You let go of the "why me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this?" It's a powerful shift, one that can turn even the darkest moments into opportunities for growth and understanding. 2. The power of mindfulness. When we're hurting, our first instinct is often to escape, to distract ourselves with work, entertainment, or even more pain. But running away only deepens the wound. Buddhism teaches that true healing begins when we stop running and start being fully present with our experience, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. Mindfulness is the art of being fully aware of the present moment, without judgment. It's about observing your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without getting caught up in them. It's like standing on the shore of a river, watching the water flow by, instead of being swept away by the current. When you're going through a tough time, try to sit quietly and just breathe. Feel the weight of your emotions, the tightness in your chest, the racing thoughts in your mind. Don't push them away. Just notice them. This simple act of mindfulness can be incredibly powerful. It doesn't make the pain disappear, but it changes your relationship with it. You begin to see your thoughts and feelings as passing clouds, rather than storms that control your life. 3. Letting go of attachments. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is that much of our suffering comes from attachment, our clinging to things, people, and ideas. We get attached to our possessions, our loved ones, our identities, and even our pain. And when these attachments are threatened or lost, we suffer. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. But if you hold it lightly, it stays in your palm. This is the essence of non-attachment. It doesn't mean you don't care about anything. It means you don't cling so tightly that losing it breaks you. Letting go is hard, especially when it comes to things we cherish deeply. But in letting go, we find freedom. We realize that our happiness doesn't depend on external circumstances, but on our inner state of mind. We can love without clinging, live without fearing loss, and embrace change without resistance. 4. Cultivating compassion. When life gets tough, it's easy to become self-absorbed, wrapped up in our own pain. But Buddhism teaches us to look beyond ourselves, even in difficult times. One of the most transformative practices is cultivating compassion, not just for others, but also for ourselves. Compassion, or karuna, is the desire to alleviate suffering. It starts with empathy, feeling another's pain as if it were your own. This might sound overwhelming, especially when you're struggling yourself, but there's a surprising magic in it. When we open our hearts to the suffering of others, our own pain often becomes more bearable. Think of it like this. Imagine you're in a dark room, fumbling around alone. It's frightening and isolating. Now imagine a candle appears in your hand. With its light, you see others around you, all struggling in the dark just like you. As you move closer to them, sharing your light, the room becomes brighter. In helping others, you help yourself see more clearly too. Start with small acts of kindness. Smile at a stranger, listen without interrupting, or simply be there for a friend without trying to fix their problems. And don't forget to turn this compassion inward. When you're harsh on yourself, feeling unworthy or broken, remember you're human, like everyone else, deserving of the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a friend. 5. Radical acceptance. Acceptance is one of the most challenging yet liberating practices in Buddhism. It means embracing life exactly as it is without wishing it were different. This doesn't mean resignation or giving up. It means acknowledging reality, however painful, as a starting point for change. Imagine being stuck in quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. But if you stop fighting, lie back, and spread your weight, you can slowly maneuver your way out. This is what acceptance feels like. It's about stopping the struggle against what is and finding a way to move forward from there. Acceptance doesn't mean you like what's happening or that you agree with it. It means you acknowledge it without resistance. You stop wasting energy on, "It shouldn't be this way," and start focusing on, "This is what I have to work with. What can I do now?" To practice acceptance, start with small things. Traffic, a delayed flight, or a disagreement with a loved one. Instead of resisting or getting angry, take a deep breath and remind yourself, "This is what's happening right now." Notice how this simple acknowledgement can shift your perspective, creating space for a more mindful and constructive response. 6. Finding joy amidst suffering. One of the most beautiful teachings of Buddhism is that joy and suffering are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they often coexist. The lotus flower, a symbol of purity and enlightenment, grows out of the muddiest waters. This is a powerful metaphor for our own lives. Even in the darkest times, we can find glimpses of beauty and joy. Finding joy amidst suffering doesn't mean ignoring your pain or pretending everything is fine. It means opening your heart to the small moments of light that exist even in the deepest darkness. It's about finding gratitude for a kind word, a warm cup of tea, or a moment of peace amidst chaos. Think of a time when you were struggling, but something unexpectedly lifted your spirits. A friend's support, a breathtaking sunset, or a child's laughter. These moments didn't erase your pain, but they reminded you that life is not just suffering. There is always something to appreciate, something that makes the struggle worthwhile. One way to cultivate this sense of joy is through a gratitude practice. Each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. Sometimes it's just having a roof over your head or a good meal. Over time, this practice can train your mind to see the good, even when everything else seems bleak. 7. Embracing impermanence. Have you ever tried to hold on to a beautiful moment, wishing it would never end? Or feared losing something you hold dear? We all have. But Buddhism teaches us that clinging to permanence in an impermanent world is a sure path to suffering. Everything in life is constantly changing. Our thoughts, feelings, relationships, even our sense of self. This is the truth of anicca, or impermanence. At first, this truth can seem unsettling. If everything changes, where can we find stability? But once we accept impermanence, it can become a source of peace. It teaches us that no matter how dark things seem, they will pass. Just as no happiness lasts forever, no pain does either. Imagine the waves of the ocean, constantly rising and falling. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to ride them. When you accept that everything is in flux, you start to let go of the need to control every aspect of your life. You stop trying to hold on to fleeting moments, and instead, learn to appreciate them while they're here and let them go when they're gone. To practice embracing impermanence, try observing nature. Watch the leaves change color, the clouds move across the sky, or the moon cycle through its phases. These natural rhythms remind us that change is not just inevitable, but necessary. And within this ever-changing landscape, we can find a deeper, more resilient peace. 8. The mirror of self-awareness. In times of hardship, we often get lost in our thoughts, overwhelmed by worries, fears, and regrets. But Buddhism invites us to look deeper, beyond the surface of these thoughts, to see our true nature. This is the practice of vipassana, or insight meditation, which helps us develop self-awareness and clarity. Imagine your mind as a mirror, reflecting whatever appears before it: joy, anger, sadness. Over time, the dust of past experiences, beliefs, and judgments clouds this mirror, distorting what you see. Self-awareness is like wiping the mirror clean, allowing you to see things as they are, without the fog of preconceived notions. Begin by sitting quietly and observing your thoughts. Don't judge them or get caught up in them. Just notice them as they arise and pass, like clouds drifting across the sky. This practice helps you realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. This shift in perspective can be profoundly liberating. You begin to see that many of the stories your mind tells you, "I'm not good enough," "I'll never be happy," are just that, stories. As you cultivate this self-awareness, you'll start to notice patterns in your thoughts and behaviors. You'll see how certain triggers lead to specific reactions and how you can choose to respond differently. This is the power of mindfulness. It gives you the space to choose your actions, rather than being controlled by your emotions or habitual reactions. 9. The ultimate freedom. At the heart of Buddhist teaching is a profound concept that challenges our most basic assumptions: the illusion of the self. We often think of ourselves as solid, unchanging entities, separate from the world around us. But Buddhism teaches that the sense of a permanent, independent self is an illusion, and clinging to it is the root of much of our suffering. This doesn't mean you don't exist, but that your identity is not as fixed as you might think. Like a river that is constantly changing, we are a flowing, ever-evolving process. Our thoughts, feelings, and experiences shape us, but they don't define us. Realizing this can be both terrifying and liberating. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with all your worries, fears, and identities. Now imagine setting it down. This is what it feels like to let go of the illusion of self. You're still you, but you're no longer weighed down by all the labels and stories you've accumulated over the years. Practicing this kind of letting go doesn't mean rejecting who you are. It means seeing yourself as more than your thoughts, emotions, or roles. It's about finding the spaciousness within you, a deep and boundless presence that is aware of everything but not limited by anything. To explore this, try meditating on the question, "Who am I?" Without rushing to answer, just sit with the question. Notice what thoughts and feelings arise. Who is it that's asking the question? Who is it that's aware of these thoughts? This inquiry can lead you to a direct experience of the freedom that lies beyond the confines of the ego. As we reach the end of this journey, let's take a moment to reflect. Life is full of challenges. Some we can't avoid, others we bring upon ourselves. Buddhism doesn't offer a magic solution that makes all problems disappear. Instead, it provides a path, a way to navigate the storms of life with more grace, wisdom, and inner peace. We've explored how to embrace suffering, stay present in pain, let go of attachments, cultivate compassion, accept life as it is, and find joy, even in tough times. We've looked at the nature of impermanence, the importance of self-awareness, and the profound freedom that comes from letting go of the illusion of self. Each of these practices is like a tool, helping us to transform our relationship with life's inevitable ups and downs. But remember, this path is not about perfection. It's not about never feeling pain or always being calm. It's about learning to be more present, more compassionate, and more aware. It's about finding the courage to face life as it is and the wisdom to navigate its challenges with an open heart and a clear mind. In the end, the true measure of success is not how much we avoid suffering, but how we meet it when it comes. It's about walking the path, step by step, with all its twists and turns, and finding a deeper sense of peace. Not because life is easy, but because we've learned how to embrace it fully, with all its beauty and pain. So the next time you find yourself in a storm, remember this journey we've taken together. Remember the wisdom of the Buddha. No matter how hard the past, you can always begin again. Each moment is a chance to start fresh, to let go of what no longer serves you, and to walk this path with a little more grace and a little more peace. May you find strength in the practice, wisdom in the teachings, and peace in the journey. And may you always remember that no matter how tough life gets, there is a way through, a path that leads to a deeper, more enduring kind of freedom. This is the promise of Buddhism, and it is yours to discover, one mindful step at a time.